Hello and welcome to this short video from Pierce Mayfield. Much has been said and written about the role of the project manager. That of the SRO is perhaps less well covered or well understood. And today we want to address this, and I'm joined in the studio by John Edmonds, Pierce Mayfield's Director of Training. John's an experienced programme and project manager, and he's been invited on many occasions to coach and mentor senior members of project boards and business change leaders in the role of SRO. He's here today to share his hands-on experience with us. So John, many thanks for coming in.
Welcome, Andrew.
Let's begin with something very basic, please. Executive sponsor, project sponsor, SRO. Lighten my darkness. Are these all one and the same individual? What do these titles mean in plain English?
Well, they could be. Different organisations use different phrases to describe what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is the senior responsible owner, as you say, often referred to as the SRO. And the clue's in the title, really. They are senior, they're responsible, and they're the owner of this venture, whatever it is. So we could be talking about the same thing, but what we're going to focus on for the next few minutes is really this significant senior role within a program or a project, and the importance of it.
Right. Okay. Well, in that case, let's stick with the acronym SRO for the moment for simplicity. You mentioned projects and programs, but isn't the SRO role more often associated with program management?
It is. You're absolutely right. That in program management, and particularly within MSP, managing successful programs, that particular approach to program management, the SRO role is the one that's mentioned there. However, we're finding that more and more organisations are also using it with their projects as well. Now, that can be quite confusing, and so we will need to sit down with people and say, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about projects, programs, or are we using the phrase more generally?
Right. So there's a need to draw out that clarity right from the off.
That's right, there is.
Okay. By the word, using the word owner, you're talking about ultimate responsibility here then, are you?
We are, yes. In fact, we'll go a stage further and use the word accountability here. We're talking about the single person who has been made accountable for the success of this project or program.
Right, okay. I want to come to the SRO within the organisational structure in a moment, but let's just stay with the individual for a second. What level of seniority is an SRO likely to be? What will likely have been their past experience? Can you give us a few examples of the sorts of individuals that would be in the role of SRO?
Okay, to answer the first point first, what level of authority? An appropriate level of authority is the answer there. Of course, it's going to be different in different situations, but the authority is very important. This person must have credibility amongst their peers in the organisation. If they've not got credibility, if they don't carry the right authority, they are not going to be able to see this project or programme through. So we're looking for that.
Right.
We're looking for somebody who has got that sense of leadership, who understands what's going on here, and then can actually drive that forward. Somebody who can carry the vision of the venture forward.
Okay, so the SRO has a number of interfaces and responsibilities. Can you break a few of these out for us? Maybe if we split them up, those for which they're responsible to the board, and those activities then that need to take place with other stakeholders.
Okay, yeah, you mentioned earlier on that we hear a lot about project managers and program managers. They've got significant roles to carry out.
Uh-huh.
And it's a key relationship between the SRO and the project or program manager to make sure that the responsibilities are properly shared out amongst the team. There are other key roles as well, but that's a key relationship
right.
that we need to work on. Working up to the project board or working to the program board or the senior board within the organisation, these people have got are carrying the accountability. The success or failure of that project or program rests on their shoulders.
Simple as that.
Really, that's what it boils down
daunting.
to. It is really. So however, that gets worked out in precise responsibilities. That's the bottom line.
Okay, here's the thing. That sounds like one heck of a job specification to me. It's daunting, as we said. What do you feel are the key attributes the successful SRO is likely to have? What behaviours, maybe what characteristics? Just highlight a few of those for us.
Sure. To begin with, they've got to understand what a project or programme is, and that's not as easily done as we might like it to be.
Yes.
We do need somebody who's prepared to recognise the change that is being brought about here and to be the champion of that change. So we're looking for, in terms of attributes, we're looking for things like good engagement of stakeholders, good communication skills. We're looking for somebody who can carry a vision and then communicate that vision really well. They know how to handle key risks. They know what the major points, major aspects of the project or program are as well. Not getting bogged down in detail, but the ability to have the big picture in mind at all times.
Okay. How good are this is generalisation, I know, but how good are organisations at making all this work?
Good and bad. We see some good examples of this, and we see some shocking examples as well. It's one of those things that we find organisations are just catching on to now, really. That they've invested a lot of time and energy training up their managers, their project managers, their program managers, and now we are seeing time being spent on training up and educating SROs. In many cases, it's long overdue.
That's interesting. You mentioned training, and I did want to pick this up with you, but let's just move forward a step. I think you've produced some tips for an SRO. Just tell me a little more about these. We'll come back to them in a second.
Okay, yeah, it was done recently for one of our clients who are investing time and energy into helping their SROs to give them the tools and the techniques that they need to be successful. And one of the things we did in that is we put together a list of 10 top tips. This wasn't just 10 ideas I came up with, but what I did is, speaking to the rest of our team here at Pierce Mayfield, is saying, what has worked elsewhere? And we trawled around and we looked at different organisations, and we came up with this list of 10, which has gone down really well, actually, and it's been very practical.
Okay, I'm sure that would be very useful for people to have, and I know you've put something up, and in fact that is the document there, and I'll tell you at the end how you can get hold of John's 10 top tips if you'd like to. How can I say this? I'm not sure whether good SROs are born or made, but you mentioned training. What coaching, guidance, mentoring and other support is available for those who either find themselves in the role and perhaps unprepared for it, or about to be launched into the role? What can be done to help them?
We find that what doesn't work is trying to just come up with a standard off-the-shelf solution that fits everyone. So we will do all of the things that you mentioned. We will do little workshops, we'll do coaching and mentoring, we'll provide a whole range of solutions to help people who are going to be very busy people, bear in mind. These are senior managers in the organisation normally, so we need to provide something that's useful at the point of need for them. So we've done a number of different interventions. All of them have proved quite useful, and all of them move people on to become better SROs.
Okay, and they can be delivered as short, sharp, very focused interventions and discrete interventions as well.
Yeah, one day, half day workshops, even done 40-minute sessions in some situations and actually sitting with SROs as they start their first board meeting, working with them and just coaching them actually on the point of delivery.
So it could be very time effective.
It can, yeah.
Thank you, John. It's been great to talk with you today. Before you go, I just want to run this past you. I came across a survey. It was published a few years back now by a consultancy company called Morehouse, and it was called Benchmarking Sponsors' Attitudes. Quite interesting. It found that 83% of the SROs polled believed that had they had training in how to understand the role of the SRO and lead a program beforehand, they would have found it very valuable.
Wow.
Got to leave a quick last comment to you.
That exactly ties in with my experience of meeting with SROs who, coming on one of our workshops, have said things like, I didn't have a clue what this was about until we started to talk about it. So that doesn't surprise me that 83% felt that as well.
And you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. John, that sounds like a very good place to leave it. Many thanks again.
Thank you.
If you'd like to get hold of that copy of the 10 top tips that John mentioned earlier, you can do so. Just drop me a line at adrian.borman@piercemayfield.com. And if you'd like to follow up directly with John, he'd be very happy to talk to you, and you can contact him on his email address, john.edmonds, EDMONDS, @piercemayfield.com. You can visit our website, of course, at www.piercemayfield.com, or you can give us a ring on the good old-fashioned telephone 01235 227 252. We'd love to hear from you.